Have you ever bought something cheap just to save money and then ended up buying the same thing again and again? A cheap shoe that breaks after 2 months, a low-cost phone charger that stops working fast, a budget backpack with a broken zip, a cheap chair that hurts your back every day. At first, it feels smart. You think, I saved money. But sometimes being cheap is not saving money at all. Sometimes it is slowly making you poorer. Today, I want to tell you a simple story that can change the way you think about money forever. Because the truth is this: cheap is not always affordable, and frugal is not the same as cheap. Let's talk about it. There was a man named Daniel. He was a regular worker. Not rich, not poor, just trying to manage life. Every month, Daniel watched every dollar carefully. He hated spending money. He always looked for the lowest price. If he needed shoes, he bought the cheapest pair. If he needed a kettle, he bought the cheapest one. If he needed a phone cable, he bought the cheapest one. If something was expensive, he said, "No, that is a waste." At first, everyone thought he was smart. Daniel is good with money, they said. But Daniel was always replacing things. His shoes wore out too fast. His kettle stopped working. His cable broke. His backpack tore. His cheap umbrella flipped inside out in the rain. Every time something failed, he went back to the shop again. Again and again. So yes, he spent less today, but over time, he spent more. Not only money, also time, also energy, also peace of mind. And slowly, without noticing, Daniel became trapped in a cycle where cheap things kept taking money from him. There is a famous idea called the boots theory. The idea is simple. A poor man buys a cheap pair of boots for $20. The boots last only a short time. He buys another pair, and another, and another. In 1 year, he may spend $80 or $100. But a richer person buys one strong pair of boots for $100. They last for years. In the long run, that person spends less. This is the hidden cost of cheap things. The price tag is not the real price. The real price includes how long it lasts, how often you replace it, how much time it wastes, and how much stress it brings. That is why cheap is not always cheap. Sometimes cheap is just expensive in disguise. Now here is where many people get confused. They think cheap and frugal mean the same thing. They do not. Cheap means choosing the lowest price, even when it hurts you later. Frugal means spending wisely, choosing value and avoiding waste. A cheap person says, "I will buy the weakest option because it costs less today." A frugal person says, "I will buy the best value because it saves me money over time." That difference is powerful. Cheap is about fear. Frugal is about wisdom. Cheap asks, "How can I spend the least right now?" Frugal asks, "How can I use my money well?" That small difference can change your whole financial life. Let's say you buy a $5 water bottle. It looks fine at first, but after 2 weeks, the lid breaks. Then you buy another one, then another. In 6 months, you have spent $20 or $25. Now compare that to one strong bottle for $15 that lasts 2 years. Which one was really cheaper? The strong one. The same thing happens with shoes, bags, kitchen tools, furniture, phones, chargers, and even clothes. Cheap things often fail when you need them most, and that is when the real cost appears. This part is important. Many people are not choosing cheap things because they love them. They choose cheap things because they must. When money is tight, every dollar matters. So the person buys the cheapest thing because they cannot afford the better one today. This is not stupidity. This is pressure. This is survival. But here is the painful truth. When money is always tight,
People often cannot escape the cheap cycle. They buy cheap because they have no choice, then they lose more money replacing it. Then they have even less money. The trap gets deeper. That is why being poor is not only about low income, it is also about being forced to make expensive short-term decisions. This is one of the hardest parts of poverty. Why do people keep buying cheap things even when they know it does not work? Because the brain loves immediate relief. A cheap purchase feels good today. It feels like a win. You say, "I saved money." That feeling is powerful. The problem is that the brain is focused on today, not 6 months from now. This is called short-term thinking, and many people fall into it. We all do it sometimes. We buy the cheap thing because the expensive one feels painful now. But money is not just about the present moment. Money is about the future too. And when you always chase the lowest price, you may end up paying with your future. Here is a better question. Not what is the cheapest thing I can buy, but what is the best value for my money? That question changes everything. Best value means good quality, long life, fewer replacements, less stress, and better use of your money. Sometimes the best value is not expensive. Sometimes a middle-priced item is the smartest choice. You do not always need the most expensive thing. You also do not always need the cheapest thing. You need the right thing. That is frugality. Truly frugal people do not just look at the sticker price. They ask, how long will this last? Will I need to replace it soon? Will it save me time? Will it work better? Will it make my life easier? They are not trying to look rich. They are trying to be wise. A frugal person may buy one good jacket instead of 3 weak ones, one strong pair of shoes instead of 5 bad ones, one reliable laptop instead of a cheap one that slows down every week. This is not wasting money. This is protecting money. That is the difference. Sometimes people are cheap because they're afraid of losing money, afraid of making the wrong choice, afraid of not having enough. So they hold on tightly to every cent. But here's the truth. Money is not only saved by holding it, money is also saved by using it wisely. A person can be so scared to spend that they end up losing more. They buy the cheap option, it fails, they buy again and again and again. That fear becomes expensive. So real money wisdom is not fear, it is balance. Let me make this very simple. When you buy something, ask these 3 questions. 1. How long will it last? A cheap item that breaks fast is not a good deal. 2. How often will I use it? If you use it every day, quality matters more. 3. Will this save me time and stress later? Because time is money too. If something is used often, do not be too cheap on it. Some things deserve quality. Shoes, mattress, tools, phone charger, work laptop, bag, and anything that affects your daily life. These are not just products, they are part of your life. Being cheap can also keep you poor in another way. It teaches your mind to focus only on survival. You stop thinking like an owner. You stop thinking long term. You start asking, how do I get by today? Instead of, how do I build a better life over time? That mindset matters. Rich people are not always rich because they spend a lot. Often, they are rich because they think in systems, not moments. They understand value. They understand patience. They understand that good decisions today can save a lot tomorrow. That is why money psychology is so important. Your choices shape your future. So the next time you feel proud for buying the cheapest thing, pause for a second. Ask yourself, did I really save money? Or did I just delay the real cost? Because that is the hidden truth of cheapness. Cheap things can cost you more. Cheap decisions can keep you stuck. Cheap thinking can become a habit. But frugal thinking is different. Frugal thinking is calm, wise, long-term. It says, I do not need to waste money, but I also do not want to be trapped by false savings. That is how you escape the boots theory, not by spending wildly, not by buying luxury, but by learning the difference between cheap and valuable. And once you understand that difference, your money life changes. Not overnight, but slowly, quietly, powerfully. Because sometimes the smartest way to save money is to stop being cheap.